There are moments in life when you don't just feel sad, you feel like the meaning has gone out of everything. The thing you built your life around, a person, a future, a role, a dream, suddenly collapses. And what follows is not just pain, it's heaviness, disorientation, a sense that everything has become strangely pointless. Eckhart Tolle says, this is often what triggers the dark night of the soul, not just the loss itself, but the collapse of the inner story that gave your life meaning and gave you a sense of who you were. So when that story breaks, it doesn't just feel like life is falling apart. It feels like you are falling apart. But what if this collapse is not only destruction? What if it is also the breaking open of something deeper? In this video, we're going to look at what Tolle says really happens when everything falls apart, why the dark night feels so unbearable, what is actually collapsing inside you, and how this breakdown can become the doorway to a deeper awakening. When everything falls apart, it rarely feels like you've just lost a person, a job, or a plan. It feels like you've lost the meaning of your life. A relationship ends, and suddenly it's not just heartbreak. It's, who am I without this? What was all of this for? What is my life now? A career collapses, and it's not only about work or money, it's the collapse of the story that said, this is who I am, this is where I'm going, this is what gives my life meaning. That's the deeper shock Tolle points to. The dark night of the soul is often triggered not only by pain itself, but by the collapse of a narrative that gave your life meaning. And that narrative didn't just give meaning, it also gave you a sense of self. So when it breaks, it doesn't just feel like life has become unstable, it feels like you have become unstable. That is why this pain cuts so deep. You are not only grieving what happened, you are standing in the ruins of the story that told you who you were. And that is where the dark night begins. And once that story collapses, what rushes in is often not clarity, but a heavy, hollow emptiness. That's where we go next. When the old meaning collapses, what rushes in is often more than sadness. It's heaviness, despondency, a deep sense that nothing means anything anymore. That's what makes the dark night of the soul so different from ordinary pain. You're not just hurting because something ended. You're hurting because the story that made life make sense is gone. And once that story disappears, the mind has nothing familiar to stand on. So it starts saying, what was the point? Everything is empty now. Life itself feels pointless. This is the darkness Tolle points to, not just grief, but the collapse into meaninglessness. The relationship is gone. The role is gone. The future you trusted is gone. And for a while, there is only this hollow space where meaning used to be. That emptiness can feel unbearable, but it's important to see it clearly. It is not yet the deepest truth. It is the mind's reaction to losing the structure it used to hold itself together. That's why the dark night feels so absolute. It's not just that something bad happened, it's that the mind can no longer tell you who you are inside what happened. And that is what makes the emptiness I feel so dark. But when the old meaning is gone, and the false structure can no longer hold, that emptiness can also become the first opening for something deeper. When the old story collapses, the mind loses what it used to define you, and that is where something deeper can begin to awaken. Because if your meaning was built on a role, a relationship, a future, or a belief, then the collapse of that structure forces a painful question. If that is gone, who am I now? This is the hidden turning point. For the first time, you are no longer fully held together by the old narrative. And in that break, you may begin to sense that what you are is deeper than the story that just ended. Not because the pain is gone, not because everything suddenly feels peaceful, but because the thing that collapsed was never the whole of you. It was a structure of meaning, a form-based identity, a way of knowing yourself. What remains is the awareness that sees the collapse, feels the pain, and is still here. That awareness has not been destroyed, and this is why the dark night can become more than destruction. It becomes revelation. You begin to discover a different ground to stand on, not role, not story, not borrowed meaning, but a deeper presence that was hidden beneath all of it. That is the strange grace. Inside the collapse, what feels like the end of you may actually be the end of what you are not. So maybe the real question is no longer, how do I get my old life back? Maybe it's, what in me is still here when the old story is gone? As we conclude, when everything falls apart, it feels like the end. But maybe what's ending is not your deepest self, only the story you built your life around. And if something in you can still witness the collapse, then not everything is lost. Something deeper remains. If this spoke to something in you, stay on this journey with me. Like, comment, or subscribe.